finger. Okay, it says live. Perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm here today with a really fun person. You want to introduce yourself? Let them know who you are.
Hi, I'm Michelle Anderson, and I am a teacher in New Zealand. I'll try and talk slowly so you can understand the accent. So if I'm going too fast, just give me a thumbs up or let me know in the comments.
And how long have you been a teacher?
I've been a teacher for 25 plus years. I don't really want to say how long because it's a long time.
That's fabulous. So you have a ton of experience.
I do.
And that's fabulous. So today I wanted to talk to everybody here about how they are all home, especially in the United States. I know we're all in our houses, and how we can get bored, and how important stories are and books are to our kids, and how it helps us go on adventures, even though we're stuck at home, by reading different books. I remember when I was little, I loved the book Corduroy by Don Freeman. I don't know if you guys know that book over there, but I remember thinking it was so fun that he got stuck on an escalator as he was going up the stairs. And every time I would go to the mall with my mom, I would get so excited to see the escalator and go up and down like Corduroy did in the book. But if you guys are watching, let us know what your favorite books were when you were kids. But today we're going to talk about story baskets and how to make our books come to life. And I know some of you guys are teachers and you are out of school, but some of you guys are also parents of our little ones and home with your kids all the time. So making story baskets and making the books come to life can really be a great activity for you guys to do at home right now. So Michelle, if she wants to talk about how we can make these story baskets with our kids using things we have at home. So do you want to kind of talk about what a story basket is?
Sure. Okay. So I've been making story baskets. I made story baskets a long time ago, say in the 90s. And it came about because I love literacy, and I would tell a story and I would carry whatever it was, the book or the puppets in a basket. And so it sort of evolved from that the children knew when I was bringing a basket in, and I'd have different kinds of baskets, that they were going to have a story or they're going to have puppets. And so that's sort of how it happened way back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And recently I've been making story baskets for children, and that's been in order to extend their language, their thinking, give them a sense of belonging. There's so many different, because each book has different aspects to it, different curriculum topics. So it could be language, math, science, literacy. So it's absolutely endless. So a story basket, I decided, was a great tool in order to encourage and support children wherever they were in their interest. So from creating the story baskets and using them with children, I found that children wanted to then add things to them, make them their own. And that's how it progressed from me making story baskets for children to making them with children. And so that's why I wanted to share that, so that you can do that at home, because of course my children are older and they're not too keen on playing with story baskets. But you never know, after 4 weeks of lockdown or maybe more, they might be keen to play with my story baskets. But it's made me really aware of the essence of a story basket is, one, the basket, but also the children.
Right. And so I know you have some examples of story baskets that you've made. So do you want to show us maybe one of the
sure.
The fish one is a super popular.
Yeah, well, the key is the basket. You can use any kind of basket. And then the next thing that I always add is either like a napkin or a scarf, something to give it a bit of texture and something to help it aesthetically. So that's the key to what the story basket is. And then, of course, it's a book. So I always put books that the children are interested in. So I've got a couple here. So this is one that I've just created. It's Rainbow Fish. Now I've made
And
So
I love
whenever I think
rainbow
about
Yeah.
whenever I think about story baskets, I think about them being having texture and
Mhm.
being tactile and sensory, something that the children can touch and be able to retell the story.
Yeah.
So, for example, this one here, I've made, so people often use spoons for storytelling,
Hmm.
but this here is a different idea. It's where you put almost like a finger puppet on top
Oh, neat.
so that there's movement. So I call these spoon hoods.
Uh,
So it means that you can use the same spoon, but you just attach different items to the top of it. So
right.
of course in Rainbow Fish, we've got the fish, and you can see that that one has no scales and that one has one. Got to get used to where the camera is. There we go. And there's the rainbow fish with all the beautiful scales. And then of course there's a octopus.
So you just cut those out of paper?
So these are actually made out of felt, but
Oh,
at home you
uh-huh.
could use paper, you could use cardboard. You don't need to have spoons at all.
Right.
It's entirely up to you. So the children can get involved and create their own octopus and their own fish to be able to play with and retell the story. And of
Yeah.
course,
So you
I've
can do
also
like
got
a little art day, and then the kids can draw their own octopus, and you can cut it out
exactly,
around the spoon.
yeah, with the paper and then they can add to it. It might not be that they do it just in one day; they may do it over several days.
Right.
And then of course just some scales, which is some shiny material as well. So
Uh-huh.
that's an example of one of the story baskets that I've made for children. But
Right.
you can then transform it to being with children and finding items from around home.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mary. I'm glad you're on. She says she's so excited to see this. She's been wanting to get on and watch us. So,
Excellent.
yeah, so that's one story basket. And you know, when I saw Michelle do this, I wrote this book, Sammy Chases the Alphabet. And it's about Sammy who runs around his farm and he finds the letter balls while playing fetch. And so I thought, how fun would it be to make it come to life like your story baskets? And so I got some of these ball pit balls and got just letter stickers from a store or like a Walmart or something. And I colored them yellow to match the yellow letters in the book. And then I added the Sammy dog and the balls and the book to it. And I thought, how fun would it be to have the kids either they could pretend to be Sammy and I can throw them around and they can run after the balls, or they can use the dog or a puppet and pretend to be Sammy. So I know we had talked about this before that if say a family doesn't have the balls that are
Yeah.
plastic, are there items that they could use other
Yeah,
than
definitely. And so what I really love about the story basket you've made is that it's hands-on. It's hands-on
right.
learning, and that's the essence of a story basket. So, for example, if you don't have any balls at home, which most of us probably don't, you can use loose parts. You can use plastic lids, plastic containers. So,
Oh, yeah.
in our kitchen, we're all well trained, and we all put any kind of plastic item in a bag for loose parts to play with. So,
Right,
I've got
right.
containers. You can write on those, draw on
Oh, yeah,
those.
that's a great idea. So
And then your milk
if you guys
containers.
are eating, especially right now, we're just save all the stuff that from the grocery stores, like yogurt containers.
Yeah,
And, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And so the next step is if you're working with older children or you've got older children at home, is you can get them to write on those as well, practicing literacy at the same time. So
Yeah,
there's lots of different ways. Yeah.
yeah.
And
The
so
lids are fun because those are easy to toss. So that would be really good.
yeah, exactly. And say you don't have Sammy or a soft toy, you probably do have something like that, but you could make popsicle sticks.
Oh, yeah, with popsicle sticks.
Yeah, so these are printed out, but you could actually get the children to draw their own rather than, So
and
who can tell me what story this is from?
When kids draw their own, they have a sense of ownership over it and then pride about it, and they know what it is. So when they draw it themselves, they have that practice, and then they can go around and show everybody and use it also. So yes, that's super important. It's something's better than a printout, I think.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, and more connected in that.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. So
Yeah.
the other ideas that you can use is if you've got little wooden discs, again, these have got printouts from the Very Hungry Caterpillar, but
Oh,
children can draw on these as well. Now,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't have manufactured ones, you can use wood cookies
Mm-hmm.
and draw on those.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, oh, here's a wood cookie. I didn't know if I had it. There it is. Cookies to which way the
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, look at that.
So you
Where
can
do you
draw on
get these
those. You
from?
can also use stones.
Where do you get the wooden cookies from? Do you order
Oh, well,
them?
these are just branches from my
Mhm.
backyard or from the
Oh,
park.
oh,
And
neat.
then you just cut them
Yeah,
and then you just sand them.
that's really neat.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So also when I'm creating story baskets, I include these in there. It gives a lot of texture. It means that
Hmm.
they can play with them. It can be different scenes in a forest or
Right.
by a lake, etc. And then
So
of
when
course
you're done,
these are rocks.
when you're
Sorry.
done
I'll
with the
just
story basket, do you just put it down and let the kids play with it whenever they want
so
to? Or
excellent question. So when I'm making it for children,
Mhm.
um, there's a variety of different ways. You can just put it down and see what happens, and that's my favorite way, because that way I'm not trying to tell them how to do it, or they can explore it in their own way in their own time. But
Right.
if children are new to it, you might want to role model how to use it. A
Mhm.
lot of teachers who have bought my story baskets like to use it at a mat time, first of all, and tell
Yeah.
a story and get the children involved, and they could have the different resources themselves. And then that later on, they'll put it out ready for the children so that they can retell it. So there's a variety of different ways. And at home, it's the same thing. The first time you might have to show them, but I found that you actually don't. I think children just love to play, love to be engaged,
Right.
tactile and touch, that they'll just naturally do it, especially if
Yeah.
they make it themselves.
Yeah, yeah, they do. It's amazing our kids can do so much if you just give them the opportunity, huh? Yeah.
Exactly.
So you have rocks. So
Oh,
you have
yes.
rocks.
So,
What would you do with
yeah, painted rocks.
what would
Now,
you
I didn't paint that. I'm not that clever.
Oh, we
I
did
did paint that
that
one.
this year at my family. We painted rocks. It's a story. It was like a gift exchange. It is really fun. Yeah.
It is.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. And children absolutely love it. So just using
Yeah.
acrylic paints, these are like
Yeah.
test pots.
Yeah.
And then you just, if they're going to go outside, or if they're for younger children and going to go
Mhm.
in mouths, then you just need to protect them with a non-toxic protection.
Yeah.
But they are really useful as well. Now, my favorite thing, which, you're at home and you might not be able to get it now, but later on, is to use just peg dolls.
Oh,
So
yeah.
those are your wooden, and I like them not being painted. Do you
And
know
for
why?
the parents, you can buy those online. Those are more Montessori, right? You can get those from like
Yes.
Montessori websites.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and they come just like
And or craft shops.
or
The
craft.
reason why I like them not being painted is that the children can use their imagination with them.
Yes.
This is me.
Yes.
Oh no, this is me today. This is
Right.
you. This is a lion.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Uh-huh.
So it's not, when it's painted as something, then it's that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you use it and it's blank, it can be anything.
Yes, it can. And imagination is so important, not only for kids to learn, but also for us to understand that it's okay for kids to be exploring things on their own and they don't need us there 100% of the time. And I know right now with all the kids home, it's important to have some things out that they can explore on their own, that they don't need us all the time with them for. So that's a good. So
Definitely.
you had another story basket, I know. What was the
Oh
other
yes.
one?
This is another one I've got here. It's called Dear Zoo, and
Oh,
we all know the story of Dear Zoo. So this is actually a pattern that I made. It's an e-pattern,
uh-huh.
and these are felt, but of course at home with the children you could make it with paper, with cardboard. I've drawn on the top, and this is from a book,
Yeah.
and so the animals can go in and out, so it's very tactile, playing
Uh-huh.
with on your hand. Now if you don't have the book, in order to use those, you can use your plastic animals, your wooden animals, or the
Mm-hmm.
children can draw their animals to go in and out the different
Right.
boxes. I've also seen this, and I've tried it myself with different size boxes so
Uh-huh.
that animals can go in and out of the boxes.
Right.
I've seen them wrapped up for children
Mhm.
who are in those urges or those schema of wanting to unwrap everything and wrap everything up.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of different ways that you can do that with a story basket or outside of
And if
story
you don't
basket.
have a basket at home, have you found like do shoe boxes work really well or
Yeah,
what?
definitely. Look, I think everyone will have some kind of basket at home. So I've also used fruit baskets.
Oh, okay.
Um, I've got a picnic basket down here for the teddy
Mhm.
bears picnic. Baskets with handles.
Yeah,
Um, honestly, you could use anything.
that's
A washing basket. It'll
uh-huh.
be a very big story basket, but hey, sometimes it's really hard to keep a story basket contained.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, it
and if
is.
you, yeah, it is because there's so many things you want to include in it.
So what do you so if you put the stuff down for the kids to use, how do you put it away at a certain time or do you have like a shelf that you store it on and then bring it back out the next day or do you because I know sometimes it's hard to teach kids to keep everything together and then you have the story basket parts all over the place. So do you
Yeah.
have like in a certain spot in your classroom or that the kids kind of know where to
Well,
keep it?
the key is knowing your children.
Hmm.
So if you know that your children will be putting things away, then you'll have a shelf and you'll just have it on the shelf for them
Yeah.
to take out and put back again.
Yeah.
If your children are younger and perhaps they're not so good at doing that, they're learning that, that's a new concept for them, you might only put it out for a short time and then bring it back. But what I found is when children are making and participating with the story basket, it's
Yeah.
theirs, it's
Yes.
ownership. So they look after it and they're not so worried about it. And the thing is, like, I'm not really precious about my story basket. So if I lose a piece or something like that, my items are secondhand resources or relatively, cheap resources. I could make them again.
Mm,
And sometimes I even include the children to help me make those resources if they've been lost. It's like, oh no,
right.
I've lost my fish. What am I going to do? And
Right.
and so they can help you to do that as well.
That's great. That's great. And they just bring them back in and give them ownership of the baskets and it's their stuff and they can take care
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you have a challenge coming up. That's
Yes.
free, I think, right?
Yeah. So
And so
it's
tell us a little bit about that. It's
okay. So I have a page. This is why I teach early childhood, but I also have a group exploring why I teach. And
mhm,
I have just put in there 3 lessons, free lessons in a unit on how to make a story basket with children. So I go into more details about
mhm,
the process and how I think about and create them. And the process I take you through can be for children or with children. And I give you
right.
ideas of things around home as well. So
Mhm,
it's not so much a challenge, it's more just lessons. And it's something free that I wanted to do because teachers here in New Zealand are also in lockdown.
right.
So we are staying safe at home.
Mhm.
And it's just one way of giving back.
And I'm going to put the link right now so people can see if I get to my computer, and then people can see it. So they'll get that link, and then that's the link to your group. So what they do is they request to join your group, and then there's a unit piece up on the top left, right? And then
Yes.
you just click on that, and then go
Yep.
through and learn how to
Yep.
make your
Three
own.
lessons. Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of it is also that you get to share the story basket in the different steps and tell us how it goes so that one, we can support you, you can inspire others, and then at the
Mhm.
end of it, we can celebrate together. And I found that it's really successful to be able to do that. Sometimes we feel a bit shy about doing that, but
Mhm.
actually, by doing that, we gain so much more.
Right, right. And so can anybody use any book or does it have to be
Yes.
a specific book? It can be any book.
Any book at all. And the wonderful thing about doing it with children is that they often have much more creativity than what we do. So they can come up with wonderful ideas that we would have never, ever dreamed of.
That is so true. They really do. It's pretty amazing to see what they come up with when you just let them be. So, well, good. So, is there for story baskets, most of the stories should be with pictures, or do you think this could work for kids that are like maybe in first grade or second grade who are starting to do those chapter books for parents that have kids at home? Would a story basket work for kids like that?
I haven't used it with chapter books, but I have used it with more complex books.
Mm-hmm.
So I've found that 6 and 7 year olds, is that grade 1 and grade 2 there?
Yeah, yeah, grade
Okay.
1 and 2,
So
yeah.
I've used it with 6 and 7 year olds,
Uh-huh.
and the story needs to be perhaps a bit more complex.
Mm-hmm.
I've also found that stories that connect to their identity and their culture have a really significant pull for them, and they're
Mm-hmm.
much more engaged in that. And the items that I've put in there have been exactly the same as I would for younger children, but the older children will perhaps use them and retell the story in a much more complex way.
Yeah, that's great. Well, good. I know there's a few people watching. If anybody has questions, you're welcome to ask them now and I will read them. I see Mary's over here. She says she has some of those that she hasn't painted. Oh, she's talking about the rocks. So she can pull
Yes.
those out and paint them. And she loves the story basket you just did. And she says she does have them on the shelf in her room and that she keeps during her fairy tale unit. So that's a good
Great.
idea. If you transition between units in the classroom, then I'm sure there's always a book you can find that goes along with that unit. So even if you want to make a story basket for every unit and rotate them out, that's a great way to keep the kids engaged.
Definitely.
Yeah, can she show more baskets? She wants to see more baskets.
Can I show you more baskets? Oh, I didn't make any more. Like I've made 150 of them, but I only thought 2 would be okay.
Yeah.
I could
put in the
quickly
teddy bear picnic basket.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's here. So here we've got the book, The Teddy Bear's Picnic. Now this was my daughter's favourite book when she was little, so this is why I wanted to make this. So I've just got a rug.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's great about this is that the basket is ready to go at any time. So you can see my bear, but inside I've got other beers.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've got a tea set. So, plate. Where's the teapot?
Like the play food.
Yeah, you could do crocheted food. You could use your wood cookies. And so you just set it out, and they can open it themselves and set it out, or you can set it out for them. And what I love about I've made a few of these is that everything is stored inside the basket, ready to go and ready to play with at any time. So that's a really quick and easy one. And around home, you're going to have a teapot. You're going to have, dishes and stuff like that. And it just depends. Like I've also used pottery and crockery because, children are capable and confident and able to use that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be unbreakable. But if that's what you've got, then that's what you use. It's entirely up to what you have and what you want to do.
Now, when you ever make book baskets for outside, like in the playground, have you ever brought them outside and let the kids?
That's what I love about a story basket. Yeah. So, a lot of people have story sacks and they're in a sack, but in a basket, you can carry it anywhere.
Yes.
Take it outside, put it outside under a tree on a blanket and use it. So that's why I love a story basket is the fact that it can go anywhere.
Right. Well, that's great. I love this. So you have a challenge. That's up now. I guess they can join whenever and see.
They can. As soon as I'm finished in the live, I can accept you once you've answered the questions.
Yeah.
And then you can go into the units. People are already in there having a go and reading it. You can do it all at once, or you can do it over 3 days, 3 weeks. you can do it now and then return to it in 3 weeks. That's what's so great
Yeah,
about having it
yeah.
in a
And
unit.
so tell us, or do you have a website that you have, or a Facebook page, or what do you do there?
Yes, I have a website, but probably the easiest is to find me on my page, and it's
Okay,
called This Is Why I Teach Early Childhood.
okay.
And so our page focuses on play-based, sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
interest-based activities. And
Mm-hmm.
so there is quite a bit of New Zealand influence there.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but
And I
that's
share,
where I'm based.
those of you that are following my page, right now we're live on the Easy and Fun Preschool Activities page. I share a lot of stuff from your page to my page because it's got a lot of that nature-based play, which I
Mm,
love. And it's so easy. You just use things that you already have to just set up little learning centers around your yard or in your classroom. And so I love that whole philosophy, and New Zealand's really grasped that and put that in the
yeah,
classroom. And we're hoping that that moves more towards the United States, and we start seeing a lot more of that over here too, because it is really neat when
yeah,
kids get to explore all that stuff on their own. So, well, good. Well,
definitely.
thank you for joining us. I appreciate all your time, and you shared with us all your baskets. And
You're more than welcome. As you can see, I'm passionate about story baskets and literacy,
yes,
so
yes, it's
I
good.
love
And I'm so
seeing other people
excited
make them.
to see everybody else's story baskets. So
Mm,
take pictures if you guys make one and comment in this post or post them on our page because I want to see your
mm.
baskets. So,
I'd
all
love to see
right,
them
guys,
too.
well, thanks for joining us. I hope you guys have a great day and make story baskets so your kids have something to do while you're home. All
Definitely.
right, bye.
Bye.